you.
Welcome to Lucia Gabriela TV, the place to be where we come to learn how to master our love life, our relationship, and our sexuality. I am Lucia Gabriela, and today we have again our favorite couple that we already had an amazing interview a few weeks ago, and they have come to our show again to share with us and talk more and dive deeper more into relationships and communication and sacred space, creating sacred space for our amazing sex. So I'm so excited to have back again Dr. Heike and Jonathan Hudson. So I'm gonna read you who they are again. Um, so they have committed their life to creating a new paradigm of relationships and sexuality. This couple is passionate about throwing outdated concepts overboard and create new working systems. They are striving to be a living example of what a deep, loving, and conscious relationship can look like. Heike and Jonathan's passion is to guide and educate men and women in releasing anything that is in their way of experiencing the closeness and depth we all desire in our relationship. What they have named extraordinary living is the modern and healthy blueprint to live a truly turn on life in and outside of the bedroom without the past experiences of pain or drama. Welcome to Dr. Heike and Jonathan. Welcome back.
Hi, Lucia. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Love you guys. I am so excited for you guys to be in our show again. And also, I'm more excited because Dr. Heike and Jonathan, they're going to be coming to Florida in the next 2 weeks to lead a fascinating event. I'm going to be hosting one of them, and then my other colleagues, I'm going to be hosting the other two, which are going to be fascinating. They're going to be PG. I'm hosting the PG version of Art of Touch. And then we're going to have two other events that are a little more into for couples, and they're gonna be delicious. Do we have what the blindfolding date event, and also we have a demonstration of the work that they do with the whole aspect of how they can help people to transform their life in a very multi-dimensional level. So I'm excited about that demonstration of the work. So I cannot wait to actually meet them in person. So today's topic is about spirit meet sex. My English today is kind of like weird, but I'm gonna do my best with it. So spirit meets sex, rituals for sacred sexuality, and also we're gonna be talking about communication. So please, let's start with it. I know that we can talk forever, but we have a good time.
We can talk for hours.
I know, between the three of us, we can talk about this topic forever. I never get tired. But let's honor you guys and honor our audience, and let's keep it going. So here we go. Well, how spirit meets sex. Let's start with that.
I was going to say, because we're talking about everything, and this is really where it starts, I feel like authentic communication would actually be the first step so that we can set up the stage of what our needs are and the sacredness of sexuality. As we all know, we first meet and conversations always come first.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense? That we go there first? Okay.
Let's roll it.
So one of our really big fundamental classes that we teach here and that we teach online in our new relationship paradigm e-course is really the art of conscious communication, about learning how to ask for what you want inside and outside the bedroom. Because even as you posted the other day on Facebook, it's speak your truth, right? And so many of us are terrified to really speak up about what's inside of us. And we do that because we fear so many things. We fear abandonment. We fear being judged by our partner. We fear rejection or getting in a fight. A lot of us just want to keep the peace. And so what happens is we swallow our truth. And over time, inevitably, in I'm going to say 99 to 100% of all cases, that leads ultimately to resentment. You start to not like your partner because, and even if it's on a subconscious level, because you feel like your partner is putting you in a corral, right? Prohibiting you from being who you are because you keep changing yourself to make them happy. So our big fundamental truth before we can ever get into sacred sexuality, and it's certainly part of sacred union, is how able are you to speak up?
Yes, and how much do you see your relationship not as something, we got to keep the love going, we got to keep the peace, we got to just stay in that harmony, peace, love energy, because the truth is we do have things coming up. Yeah. Right? There's not always love because we have the mind, we have our past, we have so many different things that come with us when we enter a relationship and when we do have conversations. And a lot of it too is the past.
I would say most of it's the past, whether it goes all the way back to your childhood about, parental patterning and modeling, up through high school and college where you learn to behave a certain way, but certainly into our intimate relationships. And every time we've been hurt in life, we get into a new relationship and it's all awesome, right? Because it's all brand new and here's this new person, you think everything's gonna be rosy, and then they fire those old triggers, right? They say that one thing that your ex-partner used to say to you. And you're like, or even your mom used to say to you, and you're like, oh shit, here we go again, right? Nothing's different. But instead of blaming the other, the conscious way of looking at things is, all right, that's mine, right? Why am I being triggered by this? Why does this pattern keep showing up over and over and over in my life? For me, my big one was always being criticized because my parents used to criticize me like crazy. I could never be good enough. And then in most of my work life, my bosses used to criticize me even for little things. And I took them on so big because it went back to my parental patterning. And then especially in relationships, if my girlfriend or wife or whatever said, you don't blank, or you always blank, or you never blank, I would fall into oh God, here we go again. And it was when I finally looked inside and said, okay, where does that come from? That I was able to start to heal those patterns up and basically keep my side of the street clean, which is what this is all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is really about, when we look at conscious relationships, we are here to assist each other to bring everything up. The good and the bad, so to speak. So whatever, when things are coming up, it's really about, this is an opportunity to release, rather than, oh, if you say this, it hurts me and I'm going to retreat or I'm just going to launch out, rather than, wow, you're just saying this and this feeling is coming up in me and I do want to run. I want to run, or like the fight and flight, right? I want to run, or I need to launch out and defend myself, rather than really seeing, I see the purpose of relationships is to know more about ourselves and to grow, and not just to keep the peace. Of course, it's beautiful to be in love and to exchange that, to have your partner at your side, your best friend, and to have all these wonderful experiences. And there's this other part of things coming up. Can this be too a very valuable experience? And can we look at it? And what we find is that a lot of times we lack these communication skills, so that we're not ending up in this either total fight or retreat mode of, okay, I don't want to deal with it, because the truth is I might not be able to, I don't know how to deal with it in a conscious way.
And as a somatic sexual healer like you are, you know how much this stuff gets stored in the body, right? These old patterns, these old triggers. And so one thing that we see in all of our clients, it seems, and I'm thinking even back to yesterday and the one before that, the day before and the day before that, was 3 different people had the same thing. They're like, I don't speak up.
I don't have a voice.
I don't have a voice. These were women that said, I let a guy do this, or I let a guy do that. I didn't want to, but I felt I had to, and I didn't speak up. And so it's about finding that speaking your truth is the core fundamental element of all of our teachings, and I know yours as well. It's like, and here's the cool part. People don't realize this. Yes, you may be in that mucky stuff of like, I'm going to speak up. It's going to be kind of, We're going to make the best we can, but on the other side of that is absolute Eden. And you actually end up having much less arguments. The peace and the beauty and the bliss is much longer lasting because you're not running around with this swallowed stuff that percolates in different ways. You know, you've been in a situation before where you get mad at something and you know you're not really mad at that. You're mad at what you haven't talked about. And so the more that you can actually get this stuff out of you, the less the little things, they're like, I mean, I leave the drawers open in the bedroom all the time. That's like my trait as a Gemini. I just leave chaos everywhere. And it used to bother her, not with me, but in life, right? If a guy didn't clean up, I mean, I do clean up, just that's the drawers in particular. But she laughs about it because she doesn't have, and she even closes them, because she doesn't have an underlying anger against me for other stuff. And so this is why it's so important in really in relationships. And we have something we call conscious arguing. You want to share how that's done? We're not going to argue right now, but talk about conscious arguing.
We're not going to argue right now?
No, not going to argue. We can.
I think that's another big thing too. We're so afraid that we are going to step into that place of emotions, of fire, of, you know, things come up and we might not be able to control it because we've been taught, we got to control it. We always got to be nice.
Especially men. Can't get angry.
Absolutely.
It's not good to get angry.
So again, coming to the body, the somatics is just really how much have we been taught and how much were we allowed to express our emotions? You see this with little kids, right? When they don't get what they want and they're upset, they throw themselves on the floor and they're just kicking and screaming, and then they turn around and say, "I'm cool," right? And we can't do this anymore, sort of. So we got to find those spaces too. And so when we talk about conscious arguing, it's such an important part to listen to the body, what's coming up, and to create that movement and not towards your partner, rather than, okay, I can turn away and get that big raw out, or I do need to stump my feet, and then, okay, now I can come back and can express from a much better place because I've just released something first, so that my mind can actually be a little bit more structured rather than just being filled with whatever is going on.
And from a man's perspective, as I said, especially as you become more conscious, it's encouraged for, I think Heike just moved the camera. Hold on a second. There we go.
It's weird.
The sun's coming in, so it's nice. As men, especially conscious men, we are encouraged on the outside to show our emotions. That's what women are asking for. And yet the one emotion that's not allowed is anger. And the truth is, anger is no different than sadness. That is no different than a core human emotion. And so I teach my men, it is perfectly natural for you to be angry. It is your expression of the anger that has caused the problem. You don't hit a woman, you don't yell at a woman, you go take that anger and funnel it out somewhere so that it moves through your body. Otherwise, if you do swallow and you become that uber nice guy that's just like, oh, there's no problem, everything's fine. And you just know inside, he's burning up inside, but he taps it down and taps it down. And that's when it explodes elsewhere into alcoholism, into child abuse, into spousal abuse. At one point, it just has to go somewhere. So a tool, at least for me, is when I get really in a grrr state, I go downstairs and I get a foam pad and I just start wailing on the wall, right, on the post, and just yelling it out. And I find after I'm done with that, it's like, it moved out of my body. And now I can come and I can talk, and all of that pent up anger is out. And I think that's something that men need to do more often. And that's why I encourage men's circles so much, because a lot of the men's warrior kind of groups that Destin does this at his events, is getting up, in nature, being the warrior, yelling, screaming, hollering. It's getting in that primal warrior energy that we have kept suppressed in our society.
Yeah, I understand, and I see the power of expressing anger, because even Abraham Hicks talks about the different layers of emotions, and actually one of the emotions that help you to pivot that you'd rather to be at than being depressed is anger. It's rather, it's better to be angry than being depressed, because in depressed your whole body is kind of like dormant. But at least anger, it kind of like help you, even when you study the whole aspect of the body heat. When somebody's angry, it's like the whole body is like in flames, but actually it helped them to be alive. Then being depressed and sadness kind of like cool, and the different part of the body that they are like very cold because there's no energy flow. So I definitely agree on the whole expression of, really, for men and for women and for kids to express anger. When you were talking about that, I was remembering like my daughter was getting angry or something, and as conscious parent, because this is not just about how to have great sexual life, how to have great partnership with your intimate partner, but we in this show, we love to also emphasize bringing into how we can share this with our kids, this wisdom, because we become conscious parent. And because sexuality is the whole aspect of creation, not just physical sex, but the whole aspect of body and creation and alignment and just expressing our orgasmic being in essence. So we also, in every show, I kind of like take a little bit of the wisdom and I apply it to parenting, and I share with our community, because all of us have children, and it's important for our children at a very young age, even though they throwing the temper tantrum. My daughter was throwing a temper tantrum, and she's already like 8 years old because she was getting angry. And in the past, our parent would have said like, "Don't get angry, go into your room," like blah blah blah. And we grow up with like holding, this anger, saying that is bad. So I did what you say about the pillow. I took a pillow and I brought it to my daughter and I said, "You know what? Punch it. Punch it hard, punch it, kick it." And literally it lasted, like her anger lasted like literally less than 5 minutes. And then she was hysterical laughing. It went from anger to laugh. And she was able to express her emotions. She was able to express her anger. And she knew that it was okay. And Mama and my partner, we created a healthy environment for her to express it. I know that it will last, instead of going to the room and cry for hours and hours and then say, my mom doesn't love me. Because that's what happened when we're children, when you're talking about like the whole rejection. It starts when we're children, and my mom doesn't love me, my mom doesn't care about me, she doesn't care about my feeling, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And your work and my work is similar, because the work that we do is helping individuals to transcend the traumas that they experience in childhood, and not expressing their emotions, it creates trauma. And every time that we don't express ourselves and we keep ourselves quiet, we re-traumatize ourselves. And I want to point it out that Wilhelm Reich used to say, has a quote in there that said that every time that we live and we put ourselves in defense and like protecting ourselves, we are re-traumatizing our body. And that's, the work that we do. We help people to release that trauma. So for our audience here, if you're watching and you're a parent, it's good to, in your relationship yourself with your partner, it's good to create that space, like Jonathan was saying. Take a spade, take a pillow, go outside, go punch the tree if you can. Just do some kind of like physical work, so you can release that anger, because keep this in mind, if you don't do it, you're traumatizing yourself. And it is harder for us as somatic sexual healers and doing the work it's very hard, and it's like very consuming the time, because I have some clients that they have learned to not express the emotion. I don't know if you have experienced that. They don't express anything. And their body's so tight, and like so like wall, and they have I call them the masters of not feeling anything. And they are the ones that have the hardest and the most difficult relationship that I ever seen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the thing is too, it adds up, right? You don't express an emotion. Here comes the next one you don't express, and the next one, and the next one, and that's this whole dampener too that I like to call depression. It's a suppression, and it's an adding of all these situations where we didn't get to express through our body, but also through our voice. And I just had a client that I had to teach how to sigh.
Yesterday, yeah.
You know, how you breathe in and you just let that sigh out, just to have that release, and using your voice on top of it as a tool to release. And so finding the voice and really moving it, all this stacked up energy, to have that space. And ideally you clean up and you clean up and you clean up, so that, and then on top of it or parallel, you do your daily maintenance. Like if there's emotion coming up, find a way to express it, right? To just, okay, give me a moment. I just gotta stomp my feet, hit the pillow,
Dance it off.
Make a big roar or whatever it is, or wailing, right? Whatever it is, to create that, because keeping it inside is what we're dealing with today. And so I love how you're saying too, wouldn't it be great if as parents we could sort of make sure, I mean, they have their own path of learning, our children, but to kind of really teach them from the get-go, it would be such a different world. So as adults, we need to clean up right now, because we didn't know about all of this. And our parents didn't, but you know, this is the cut. We're cleaning up while we're raising children in this consciousness of the feelings are welcome and the expression of it too, but don't move it towards me.
Right.
You know, it's like, I'm not your punching ball. Here is your punching ball, right? And then it's a clear message.
And the animal kingdom is so good at this. If you read Barry Levine's work, Waking the Tiger, he talks about the fight, flight, or freeze response in human beings, and how it's really just for humans that we do this, because we've been socially trained not to respond and not to use and not to pass our emotions through us. A dog, for example, why do you think a dog keeps barking after the person who was causing the barking left already? It's like sometimes you're like, what? Why can't you stop? But for them, it's energy inside, and it's got, you know, that last 3 or 4 boofs that they give, and it's like, who are you barking at? But it's energy moving through the body. I've seen in the animal kingdom, for example, birds that fly into windows, and you think they're dead, but they're not. And you look for a minute, and then they shake their whole body for like 30 seconds, and they just shake that off, and then they fly away like everything's fine. And so how can we do that as humans, right? And just really express our emotions and get it out of the way. And nowhere does that show up more when we're talking about communication and authenticity into sexuality. That's probably the biggest holdback for people. I mean, it's good to talk good to talk to your kids, good to teach your kids. You can talk to your boss a certain way, you can talk to your friends and your parents, you can learn all these skills for all that stuff. But ultimately, it's about your relationships and really what happens in the bedroom. Because
then the body comes into the game.
Because so many people are scared to speak up. They're scared to ask for what they really want, because primarily you're going to think I'm weird. You're going to think that I have, you know, these strange intimate desires which aren't normal,
or rejection,
or you're going to leave me, and judgment. So part of the conscious path is to allow each other the space to express your truth, your fantasies, your desires. That doesn't mean that you get all of your fantasies granted. But your partner is going to learn so much more about you. Mm-hmm. And she may say no. Heike has said no to plenty of my fantasies, but actually, that's true. Only about 20%. The cool part is, I never would have got the yeses if I never asked anything. And that's what most people do, is they just have the vanilla sex in the bedroom, same time, same place, and then they wonder why after a couple years, 5, 10, even 15, it gets boring. It's like, because you're doing the same thing. No matter how in love you are going to get bored if you're doing the same thing every day. Mm-hmm. We are
in and out.
So we're talking, even our subject this morning was in our own life. We're starting to develop a pattern of having coffee on the deck and doing things in a certain order. And how can we shift that up? And one of the things is getting the heck out of here and going to Florida for a couple of weeks. Time to get out of a routine a little bit, but the routine in the bedroom is a big one. So,
and I think it's very important for couples to get to master these communication skills and expressing, hey buddy, like I usually tell my partner, hey, I think like, you know, we have great sex, but okay, it's time to change a little bit, you know, like I'm getting bored. And we had developed these I had developed this ability to express myself. I could have never said something like that with another man, because I would be like, oh my God, you know, what are you saying? I'm not good enough, not worthy enough. I'm like, God, why my penis short, small, big, too hard, whatever, what you want. And they would have taken it so personal. And I am blessed that my partner expressed, you know, listened to me a lot. And he also expressed his emotions, express himself. And when I see that he's not expressing, I ask permission. It's time for you to express whatever you need to express. Bring it on, you know, because we need to have the whole dynamic of expressing ourselves. But it's important for couples and to feel free to speak your truth. I will not be able to, I tell this to everyone, I will not be able to be in a relationship with a man that I don't feel free to be myself, to express myself, even in my darkness, like even in my ugly side and my witch side, you know, because it is, if I cannot feel safe to be myself, I cannot be around to this person. So my partner is amazing. He has created that space for me to be even my darkness. And you know, sometimes like and I'm sharing this with all of us because a lot of people is like, oh well, so you're always gonna share in your light, you know, when you're good. And we're talking about anger, and it's important to recognize that sometimes we're gonna be in our darkness, like that egocentric, ugly place, but it lasts very, very short periods of time instead of lasting like 3 hours. And the recovery, the blessing of that is fulfillment. Like it didn't last for hours and days and years, but it just lasted like maybe 30 minutes, and then you come into what we're gonna want to you guys talk about, because we're talking about spirit meets sex, and we're talking about communication, which is the foundation of the work that we do, and releasing the trauma and in all areas of multidimensional self, and you know, rituals to sacred sexuality. And for all of you who are watching this video, this interview, I'm so passionate about rituals. Rituals to me is a practice of connecting with our higher purpose, connecting with our body, connecting with ourselves. That's what to me is rituals. And the ritual of communication is something that I teach in my self-love mastery class. The rituals of communication lead us to experience sacred sexuality in our highness. That's why we're talking about this. So it's not like we're going all over the place, but the main, to make it like nice and cozy and beautiful for you guys to understand it, why we're so passionate about talking about communication is because it's a ritual that leads us to experience conscious sexuality, sacred sexuality, epic sex, magnificent sex, in all realms. So when we're talking about this ritual, that's why you understand what I'm talking about. And Heike and Jonathan are sharing. So for you guys, Jonathan and Heike, how can people communicate in their ugly, ugly moment? If you can give us an insight or some kind of like tool.
For me, I have a couple. If you're really triggered and you're really in that dark shadow moment, understand in that moment, and it's obviously you got to understand before that moment, is that there is something called the pain body. When you are triggered, you're not thinking logically. Your body is full of raging chemicals like cortisol, everything getting you to want to run away from the situation. That pain body speaks, that's the one that gets in arguments and yelling and screaming and always says all these things that tomorrow morning you're really, really upset at yourself for saying. And so knowing when to speak and when not to speak is really the first thing. If you are in your pain body, just shut up. And you can even tell your partner, you know what? I'm really triggered right now. It's not the best time to talk to me because I'm going to unleash on you possibly. So just give me some space. Because talking from the pain body has never been productive. Arguing from the pain body, texting each other back and forth for hours from the pain body. I mean, it's just, it is such a pattern that I see people doing.
And you say so many things too that you regret later because you actually, if you're really in it, you just become unconscious.
Yeah.
And from that, you can have that conscious conversation. So it is about honoring the feelings that are showing up.
Yep.
And the art in it is to decide when you have to just say, okay, time out. I'm going to come back in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, sometimes it goes that fast. When I was like, okay, wait. I just walk a circle in the house and I can come back. To just, okay, let me just become conscious again. Or I need to express something first on a physical or vocal level and come back. And it can be a minute. It sometimes can be an hour. And sometimes it actually can be the next day. So to really get a feel for how long it is going to take you to reestablish a certain sense of balance for yourself and then be able to talk about it. If you know, it really depends on how hard it hit you, how strong your reaction was, how much time you have to ask for your partner that you need to just, okay, let me take some deep breaths here. Let me take care of myself so that I can actually have a communication.
Now we have another technique which you're gonna love, and this is all about ceremony. When we feel like things are piling up, little things start to pile up over time, or we have some deep pains or some deep growth process we need to look at, we ask each other, can we go into sacred space about this? And what we do is we go into our healing room and we light candles and we both sit on opposite sides of the flames. And after setting the intention and setting the space for, you know, our ultimate growth and love to be present with us, we enter a space where each partner gets to share. For, you know, we try to say for 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, we try to put a time limit on it, but there's no dinger that goes off. But one partner gets to speak completely, to speak everything that needs to be spoken. And the other partner's job is just to listen and remain silent. There is no arguing, there is no debating, there's none of that happens. And when you're really, really present and listening to your partner from that space where I'm not going to defend, I'm just going to take it in because these are her real emotions and real thoughts. And if I go in there, like, you know, the typical pattern is we need to defend ourselves. But when you go into sacred space, it's easier to drop into, oh my God, I'm here from love and I want to hear what is inside my partner because I love her so much. And she's helping me to see the things that I haven't been able to see. And so she shares until she's complete. And then I share until I'm complete. And then we take, as we're speaking, we take those subjects and we throw them in the fire. It's like, okay, I released this about you. I released this thought I had. I released this label I put on you for always acting a certain way. I throw it in the fire. And that process is both releasing and forgiving. And in that, we're able to really express our core truths in this super safe container of our sacredness, which is the same. And then sometimes we go straight into sexuality from there, because we've already created that beautiful container.
Okay, so when we're talking about speaking our truth, speaking our emotions, and even expressing anger, expressing the anger like I want to make sure that we understand that the other partner knows. I like to communicate with my partner, for example, when I'm angry, that I'm really, really angry and sharing, expressing my emotions, my truth in a moment. I could be very ugly sometimes. And we create that space where I'm able to express myself, but he understands that it's not about him. That right now he's witnessing my soul, like he's witnessing me and honoring me, and he knows that nothing of what I'm saying or what I'm doing and how I'm feeling, he's not responsible. We get to that level. Not everybody's at that level. He knows that he's not responsible for or anything that's happening here, which to me creates like such a beauty and bliss, because I'm not feeling like, you know, I feel free to be able to come down quickly. So I don't take too long in this process. And usually it's like that's my way of like when I know I've been triggered very, very bad for something, and I want to make sure and guarantee that my partner knows that it's never about him. And it's such a beautiful, when I'm done, it's such a beautiful process where he's able to express what he saw and give me the feedback and be supportive, and in the pain that I am, on the anger I am. And it make it so, I don't know, for me it make it so beautiful, because I feel not just accepted, but I feel like, wow, this is amazing, you know. And he does the same thing. Like I observe and I just observe and you know, okay, I know it's not about me. So, but that's how I process it, because I have been in this journey for a while, and I have had so many experiences with dealing with anger and abuse and all that. But for those who are studying in this mastery of communication, you recommend to not start any kind of communication, expression, or speaking even the truth in the ugliness when they are in the pain body, because they're unconscious, right?
Yeah, and another thing to explain to all the listeners too, it's like you want to set up the stage, meaning sort of the sacred space, but setting up the stage where before you unleash, like you even said, before you unleash, we speak out a warning. I am angry. I am gonna now unleash.
It's not about me.
So it's a warning, right? It's a okay. You prepare your partner a little bit for that, and then also to ask for what you want while you do that. Do you just want him to hold the space, or her, right? Do you just, because we know this as women, we have a problem or we have something, and men want to immediately by nature fix it. Right? So to really say, no, I just need to vent right now. I need to unleash. This is coming up. I just want you to just be there and to hold that space. So again, that's something too, you can tell your partner, this is what I need you to do right now. So this is how they can do something by just being there for us, right? And then, like you said, it is not about taking it personal for the one that witnesses, rather than, I believe it's actually an expression of trust. Like I trust him so much that I can show these sides of me. And then stays after every time something comes up, that's when you go deeper and deeper into your relationship too, into your connection. It's like, wow, I just showed you my whatever. Yes. He's still there. And he loves me more.
But there is also a line in this, is that, and this is, you know, I've heard a lot about the nonviolent communication and really getting into the empathy side. There's some times that I don't want to be in her shit. If she's having a bad day and she's depressed or whatever emotion is happening or sad, there are times for me to hold space for you, if you know, in specific circumstances. But there's other times that I don't want to be dragged down into her world of whatever she's in.
And then there's other times where I actually say, I need to take care of this myself.
Exactly.
So you, by setting up the stage, we're actually honoring our boundaries and honoring our conscious want. Like this is like putting like, but this I love to do this in like continuous time where we and my partner, because this is not gonna happen. For example, we're gonna come and like all of a sudden this trigger shows up. But we in time, like weeks, every week or every month, we make sure that I do my love audit, and we're like, okay, where we are in a relationship, what's happening, how we
audit.
Yeah, I love audits.
that.
I love
the
audits.
whole, yeah, the love audit. And like I really do, because I study accounting. So I want to make sure if I want to know where my finances are every day, right, we check a bank account. I want to know where my love finances are every day, checking okay, where's my communication? Where's my sex? Where are we in our whole, and we have to, like, I do believe the way that we run our business and the way that we run our money is the way that we should be paying attention to our parenting and our sexuality and our relationships and everything else. So that's why I call it love audit. So in my love audit, we have agreement where we know that, okay, this is what we're going to do if something come up and a trigger. Because sometimes when we get triggered, you mentioned, Dr. Heike, that you're not conscious, you're unconscious. And sometimes we're going to be acting from that unconscious trigger ugly times. Mm-hmm. And it's important to the other person, like Jonathan was saying, I don't want to be dragged into your crap. So it's important to know in the communication of that audit to know our boundaries and respect when my partner, is like, okay, I don't really feel like it today to do this. So I'm just going to say no to this, holding the space for you right now. I want to love and honor myself. And I think it's important for people to honor everyone's self-love. And I love when my partner say no. I'm like, even though that sometimes I get triggered by it, I'm like, whoa, say no to me. How dare, that whole thinking. And I'm like, well, he's honoring his own self. And I'm like, great, that's the man I want to be with. I don't want to be with somebody who is like, I'm the possessive and dominant. And I'm like, I actually, when you talk about trust and respect, I feel like when my partner say no to me, a lot of times I kind of respect him more and I trust him more.
Because his clear yes and his clear no. Like if he says yes, he means it. And if he says no, he means it. Rather than, oh, he's just saying yes for me, or he's saying no for whatever reason. It is, and that's the number one thing too that we bring into relationships. It's our own self-responsibility, our own autonomy. And to really making sure it's an honor for him to hold that space. And I can't expect him to do this all the time, right?
No,
so exactly. So once again, communication comes in. And if there's only one thing that will change everything for people is this whole taking things personal thing.
Yeah.
If we could only learn this one and master this one in all of our relations and all of our relationships, we would really be very far.
Exactly. And remember, even in this, and using me as an example of the times that I don't say, okay, you're in your stuff, I don't want to be dragged down in it, I always come back. There's always a closure to it. And we always will come back and talk about it when she's in a better place. So there's always closure in it. I don't just say, I don't want to deal with it, goodbye. I'm always coming back later on, whether it's an hour
I come back
or you come
I got it.
Yeah,
I figured
exactly.
it out.
There it is. I'm like, okay, cool, you're back again. So diving now, if we can, into what the other part of this, which is the sacred sexuality, which is being transparent, right? That's what we're talking about. Because when we show up in sacred sexuality, we are showing up in our full, unmasked version of ourselves, right? All the good and the ugly and everything completely naked. Here I am, in body and soul, in my imperfect human condition, and I want her to see all of that. And that is the number one tool to sacred sexuality, to spiritual sexuality, is presence, right? It's I'm here. I'm here fully and completely and imperfectly, and I want you to, perfectly imperfect, and I want her to see all of me. I want her to see into my very essence. And if I've got stuff in the way of that, if I've got blocks or hidden things that I don't want her to see, then she can't see all of me. And then I'm not showing up really authentically. So by doing everything we talked about, even in the ugliness, it's like, here I am, raw, naked, ugly, and it's the chance for her to look deeply into that, and she's still here.
And I feel that, I love what you said, because I feel that when we able to be in a whole self-love with ourselves, like self-responsibility, self-accountability, self everything, and show up so vulnerable and so raw, bleeding in every aspect of ourselves, with our darkness, our inner child, with our shadows, with our egos, and just be happy and joyful that we are presenting ourselves in a very vulnerable way. And when our partners love us in all aspects of ourselves, even in our darkness, that to me is like, true love, because you are loving me when I am actually the ugliest bitches that you can possibly see in this planet.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh my God, I want to make love to you right now on the spot, because it's like such a like, wow, you adoring me and loving me for who I am, not for my mask, not for like my potential self, like you're really loving me. And I feel like that kind of love is truly magnetic and powerful than, just loving you for your potential. Because one of the things we're talking with the audience is that one of the abilities that we have a human being, especially if you're empath and you work with energy and you're such into loving all that, is that we sometimes fall in love with the potential of our partner, which create chaos in our life.
We did that one.
Been there, done that too, Heike. And I have been burned by it. And when I talk about being burned, it's because like I have learned so much being in my own hell of purification. So we fall in love with this potential, and then when we become like fanatic and we become infatuated by the potential, and when our partners are not showing up to the potential, that's an aspect of like we get upset and we feel like, oh, betrayal, or we feel like my heart hurt, and actually it's not a heart that hurt, but it's the ego that hurt, the potential got hurt. So it is so beautiful that you mentioned that about, loving you in that aspect of your ugliness and your shadow, because to me, that's actually true love, right? Like that whole essence of you, like the whole God energy, source energy of seeing you with the eyes of God and loving you with the heart of God is like loving you for all of you. And that is an aspect of sacred sexuality, right? Like
the love that you're talking about is what people are still trying to figure out, which is the unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be anything, do anything, or don't do anything. I'm here and I love you. And all the shadows that we're talking about, I'm going to love them up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mutual experience. So this is why love is such a high healing energy, as well as sexuality. So when we bring all of this together, we are just naturally our healers. And that does not mean, I'm his coach, his healer, and whatever. It's just natural. The energy that we create is helping us to become our higher and highest versions of ourselves. And, you talked about potential. Yeah, it's like, to me, I like to say it's like kissing frogs. Someone never turn into the prince, right? And I moved even on, like, no, I want the king. So I don't even need to do the kissing frogs. It's like, show me what you are, not what you have, but show me what you are, what you bring in. And the number one thing is commitment. Being committed to grow. It's a never-ending process.
Lifelong
personally, as well as in a relationship, we are here constantly evolving and growing. And when that's not happening anymore, that's when we see relationships falling apart. When someone says, "I'm so comfortable here, I'm just going to sit here and let's just stay here, while the other partner says, no, wait. Then it becomes stagnant and it becomes boring. And so when you go into sacred sexuality, even there's so much to learn about. First of all, sexuality is not equal sex, right? We're really talking about life force energy, sexuality, and the sacredness of that, of the being. And so we have the consciousness and the sexuality and all of that flowing together with whatever is, Jonathan said, it's presence. Presence is obviously one of the biggest things. Another big ingredient is curiosity and this openness.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you meet in the space of sacred sexuality, which we highly recommend to really set up the container again for it, you light your candles, you clear the room and clean it up, and you put on some nice music, you make sure the temperature is nice, and you enter that space, like Jonathan says, like going to church, and you have no agenda. Sacred sexuality, in my definition, is like a meditation. You just go in, you just fully show up. You don't know where it's going to go. You can set your intentions, what you would like to see and experience, but then again, you let go and you just see what wants to happen. How do the bodies want to interact? The voices, the sounds, and anything, what the touch, anything that shows up is, there's a flow to it when you let go and turn it over to something higher than this is the way it has to look like, and this is where it needs to go. I take it all the way to taking climax out of the way. Of course it can happen multiple times, but you're not chasing anything.
And this helps break the routine pattern of sexuality in relationships, because we do this about once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks or so. And we really, like Heike said, it's like going to church. Now, you don't go to church every day, and this does not, sacred sexuality does not mean you don't have your kitchen quickies and your in the car little trysts and all this little fun stuff. I mean, in my world, sacred sexuality encompasses all of that.
Yes.
But the sacred sexual experience itself, for us, it is going to church. And as Heike said, you light the candle, set the tone, set the mood, set the intentions. And then we specifically call in spirit. Now, when we met, I was the sex guru. I'm a clinical sexologist. I know a lot about the female body from when I was a very young man. I started early, let's just say, and I was very blessed. Very early, and blessed to have many, many older teachers throughout my life. All the way through Tantra and everything else, I learned a lot. But I didn't understand the energetic component. I wasn't aware of it. And then when I had my aha moments, some little flickers started clicking that there was more to sex than I knew about. And then I met this amazing woman here who was the energy, and we always say sex meets spirit. Because she's great in bed sexually, but she brought.
You made it public now.
That's what I got the second night, right? I got to see the sex side. But she brought the spiritual components to it that I wasn't aware of. And over the last 3, 4, 5 years, she has opened up my world to energies, things that, I'm such an energy geek now that my friends that knew me 5 years ago just think I'm weird. And I get it. I used to be really logical. I was in law, I had a law background. None of this made sense. And I still have a box. It's a lot bigger box than it used to be. But I have a box called Other, that you just can't explain it. I have had some experiences in the bedroom with her where I have seen God. I have traveled to other planets. I have seen energies in her hand moving. There's no way to convince somebody this happened, right? All I can do is, I know it happened, and there were no drugs and no alcohol and none of these other mind-altering substances to know that behind the veil of what we think is real, something else exists. Mm-hmm. And so we call that something else into our lovemaking, whether you want to call it God or spirit or source or Father Sky, whatever. We call source in with us. Heike likes to say that she's always surrounded in our bedroom by angels and guides, and I'm like, heaven must be a bunch of voyeurs because they come down to our bedroom a lot.
Well, it's an attractive energy.
It's an attractive
we can
energy.
create and manifest. So they all come.
They all come. And I think we glance over the words making love so easily. But think about what that really means. You're making love. The most powerful energy on the planet, love. It's like putting love in the oven, right? You're making this amazing energy. And when you're mindful of it and conscious of using the energy back and forth between the two lovers, it grows just like a cake grows in the oven. The love energy grows and grows and grows. And I have no doubt that these other things come down and are really like, whoa, what is that? Because ultimately, spirit is love, right? I mean, we talk about love or fear from Marianne Williamson. There's only two in love and fear. And so either we're creating fear in the bedroom or we're creating love in the bedroom.
Yes.
And love is the energy that is so attractive.
We're baking love.
Baking love. Yeah, baking love.
I like that. Kate.
I like baking love workshop. I got that one.
Yeah, I like it.
Baking love workshop.
So we need to go pretty soon. I want to give your readers your listeners a couple fun tools. One is called the sexy sandwich technique. This is how to ask for, you can really use this to ask for anything you want, but we're going to use it today for sexuality. So here are the tips. Number one, you're going to ask for time because you want to be sure your partner's present enough to answer to be there for you. Number two, you're going to state your fears because you start off with vulnerability. This attracts a partner. This helps drop your partner's defenses. Number three, you're going to state your hopeful outcome. And again, now this creates lean in from your partner to want to help you. You're going to ask permission to continue. You want to give your partner a way out if they're not ready to hear this. And if they say yes, then all their defenses are down and they're ready. So we're going to give you an example of this. This is always fun. What are we going to ask for today? Can I do my threesome thing?
Of course.
Okay. You want to ask or you want me to ask?
You can ask.
Okay.
And just to make sure that our viewers know what we're talking about, the sexy sandwich technique is about communication. Right?
Absolutely. It's how to ask for what you want. Now you can use this to ask for a raise.
Okay. Great.
You can use this to ask for something from your parents or your best friend, but we're going to use it here specifically for a sexual fantasy.
Okay.
I'll show you how it works.
Let's do it. I want to
do it.
witness. Come on.
Do it.
Hold the space for you guys.
Thank you.
Let's see if you can get it out of me.
Maybe before that will happen.
But I need to amp it up a little bit because I've already gotten a yes on this.
Okay.
Hi, baby. I have something I'd really love to talk to you about, but I need your full presence in it. Do you have time right now?
How long is it going to take?
Depends. It could take 5 minutes. It could take 20 minutes, or maybe even come back and visit it later. I just want to be sure that you have time to hear my request.
Okay, so let me turn my computer off and everything. I'll be there in 5 minutes, and then you have my full presence.
Cool. Okay, 5 minutes go by. Hi, honey. Are you ready?
Yes.
Fully present?
Yes.
Okay, well, I have a request, and here's my fear. I'm worried that when I ask this, that you're gonna think that you're not the best person in the world, or you're not my favorite lover, because you really are. And I'm scared that if I ask you this, that you're just gonna think you're not good enough. And it really doesn't have anything to do with that. What I hope to achieve is that we can take our amazing sex life, which we already have, and I thank you so much for that, and bring it up to an even higher level.
Sidebar, I'm totally curious right now. First of all, this poor guy, he's afraid to even say what he wants to say, so my compassion comes in, right? My heart actually opens up. And I'm also getting curious. It's like, whoa, there's something that actually makes it all better, right?
So is this something I can go ahead and ask you about?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear it.
Sidebar, her defenses are down, as opposed to if I just came in and said, this is what I want, Totally different reaction. So her defenses are down, she's leaned in, and she wants to hear what I'm saying. And I asked permission. There she is, exactly. So I was wondering if we could have a threesome with my friend Michael.
Wow. Okay. So sidebar, we can negotiate. So how do you see this happening? Like, actually, Michael, do we know another man? I'm not sure if I want Michael. I'm interested to.
So you're open to having a threesome with a man?
Yes, but it has to be the right man.
Is there another man you suggest? Because I'm really just hoping we can have that experience. We've never done that before.
Maybe we can ask Paul, or even just kind of be with that and see what comes up. I understand that you just want to enrich in our love life and everything.
Give you two men.
So I am on board.
Okay, great.
I just need to work out the details.
Okay, well then maybe we can just kind of be open to the idea and see it when we run across men and stuff, see if the energies match. I know how important the energy matches to you.
Absolutely.
And for me too.
Absolutely. Okay.
That was awesome. Thank you. You see how nice and simple that was? I got my desire out. I really do want to have a threesome with two men with her. We haven't before. I got my desire out. She felt totally safe, right? I mean, you felt safe and appreciated and loved and all of that. So those are the steps that we share. And I can put that to you in writing that you can put down somewhere.
Yeah, I got it. And I will put it on one of the slides that I'll add it into, or maybe in
what have we got to do?
I was afraid that you came up with a male partner instead of like a female. Usually a man comes, I would be like shocked. I would like, wow, really? Another man? Oh, that's interesting.
Something to talk about later.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, really? Like a man? I'm like, that's my fantasy. What are you talking about? I want to have another man in my, like, wait, what?
Well, now you know how to ask tonight.
I always asked already. I always got a yes already. So, like, but I'm still very picky with energy. It had to be somebody that
perfect.
I had to be connection, and so far, no. It's like, you had to show up.
If your listeners want to learn more of these skills, we have we finally, thank goodness, made our first online course. It's called the New Relationship Paradigm, where we cover this communication and self-love, all of the important aspects, including intimacy and connection and sexuality.
How to keep it fresh.
How to keep it fresh and
how to
juicy.
Deal with triggers.
It's completely online. It has text, video, audio, homework, and it usually is for $98. And we want to give it a special to your listeners. It would be 50% off of that, which is a great deal. And the code they would have to use for that is just your name, Lucia, with the capital L. That's the code. And you can pick it up at sexandloveunplugged.com. So Sex and Love Unplugged, just like MTV Unplugged, sexandloveunplugged.com. Just enter at checkout the code Lucia, and you will save 50% off an awesome, awesome course that will help you really take your relationship, whether, by the way, this is whether you're in a relationship or you're single. It's for both people to take your relationship to the next level, what we call the new paradigm in relating. And then after that, like I said, we got those events coming up. We've got, and it's on your Facebook page, I know, on the events, we've got the Art of Touch on Saturday night, the 29th at your place.
Yes.
That's going to be a beautiful event for couples and even men and women singles, where you're going to learn the art of connections. It's about presence and energy and touch. And if you're in a relationship, please bring your partner. We will teach you skills you can take home to your own bedroom and love life that are going to really be incredible for learning how to connect and be present with your partner. It's like, when's the last time your partner really sat and felt all of you and eye gazed with you and saw the beauty in all of you? And that's why this has little to do with actual, you said PG. It's not focused on those typical body parts, right? It's like, how present can you be with just this? And how sensitive, baby, is that right there? Now that all of my attention is focused on that, I can make her start shivering with just this. Because my attention and my presence is all the way there. So we're going to teach you all those skills. The day before that in Randenton, that's right, is our famous Black Blindfold dinner. And that is where couples come, and you can, again, it's either single or couple, depending on how your associate's going to do it. And it's hard. It's kind of like the art of touch, except you're going to have blindfolds on and be fed food by your partner.
Yes, I have done that. I have done that myself with. I call it a different workshop, but I have done that. It's called the Divine Touch sort of thing, like for couples. And it's just, you have to come. If you are in that sort of Bradenton area, you must come, because it is a fun, delicious, and very sensual experience too, because the food and the energy and the touch, it's really awakens the taste and all that.
Well, your taste buds come so alive when your sight's taken away.
Yes.
Especially if your partner or your date makes your plate for you, so all of your dietary restrictions are kept in mind. But when you have your eyes closed and all of a sudden you get a piece of arugula, it explodes in your mouth, and the next thing you get maybe a piece of chocolate that is like, and you just don't know what's coming next. I have a famous story that my lovely wife did to me one time. We were towards the end of the evening, and she gave me this really yummy chocolate chip cookie. And I was just I'm blindfolded. I was like, oh, it tastes so good. And then she started to put something else in my mouth. I
have a vicious side, Sometimes
I thought it was a chocolate covered almond that we have from Trader Joe's. I thought that's what she was putting in my mouth. So I take it in and I bite down. It was an olive with a garlic in the middle of it. Garlic and chocolate chip cookies do not go together. But it was still like, it was the surprise factor, or maybe getting a cream when you're least expecting it. It's an experience you'll never forget. And again, stuff you can take home, because we are about mindful eating. That's in our course as well. How can you take mindful sensual eating into the bedroom? One of the things we do once in a while when we have lunch or dinner, we don't have forks. We'll just take a dish and we'll start to feed each other from the plate, and it breeds a great connection. My wife is telling me it is time to go because she has some business coaching calls coming up here. So
thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. So for all our listeners, you can check out our events right there in Lucia Gabriela Coach on Facebook. That's where going to be all our events, and you can find out more about this. And also sexandloveunplugged.com, and you can go and put the code Lucia, LUCIA, for a 50% discount on this amazing online program that Heike and Jonathan had created for us. So thank you so much, Jonathan and Heike, for coming to us and sharing your wisdom and passion. For all our viewers, you can go to luciagabriela.com to learn more about what we're up to, our services, our event, and everything, and our collaboration with mentors like Jonathan and Heike, and so much juiciness too. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you really took away a lot with you, please like this video, share with your friends, share with all those people that really need to connect, and they're looking for something like this in their life. I appreciate you. Like us, subscribe, and I see you next time. Bye. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.